When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
So welcome to this week's Premier League Cricket Show, and it's another match week review. And once again, I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. Hugh Newsome. How are you doing, Hugh?
How are we doing? All good.
Looking a bit cold there today, mate.
Mate, it's horrible again. It's just, what's been interesting is we're getting some nice weekends, so it kind of, it's not so bad, but goodness me, my wicket was dreadful on Saturday. We had rain all day Thursday and then a massive thunderstorm Friday night, and yeah, it wasn't great Saturday, but everyone did their best.
Yeah, we won't come to that today, I don't think, because the scores are a bit naff, to say the least. But joining us today as our guest is somebody who had the other end of the spectrum when it came to the amount of runs that was being scored. We're joined by Preston Nomads, Jersey, and I've got to say it, and he's going to probably pull a face at me, European cricket legend, Jonty Jenner. How you doing, Jonty?
Hey guys, hi Ian, hi Hugh. All good here. Thank you for the introduction. Sounds like I've got more clubs in Tiger Woods there, but I'm a bit of a one club man, so hopefully we can delve into that a little bit more.
Hey, absolutely.
Surely European cricket legend is the the pinnacle of that list. I mean, just being on the European Cricket Network is miles above everything else.
No, the coverage for that was brilliant over sort of February and March time. So nice bit of pre-season, got us out of hitting balls in the indoor school. So yeah, it's been a nice little start to the year, really.
Yeah,
definitely. And when I told Vinny yesterday that you were coming on as guest from European cricket, he made sure that that'll be going out to everybody else around the European Cricket Network as well. Your name is legendary, mate. We'll come to that definitely later. But let's have a look at our usual roundup around what we've seen around the country in the last couple of days over the weekend of Premier League cricket. As we said over the last couple of weeks, we're going to sort of focus on around about 8 leagues a week now, because we just can't do 32. Me and Hugh get confused with 8, never mind 32. But we'll start off with the Yorkshire Cricket Southern League. If you don't mind, Hugh, can we have a look in there and see what came out of that one over the weekend?
The scores in Yorkshire were generally a bit higher than in other places. It's been quite a chaotic week. We were pinging a few messages back and forth. Well, I was pinging them to you, and you were in a drugged up stupor after your operation. But yeah, there was a bit of a mess at Doncaster's bowling Donny out for 58. So we'll leave that one there. But Dan Waldron 4 for 30. In the other games, I think everybody else just having a quick scan past, or maybe not everybody, but most people up towards the 200. So it was a pretty high scoring league. And
can I point out highest score of the week, which is quite remarkable? Bowled out for 47 the week before. Shire Green come back with 330 for 7 to win over at Treaton. I mean, having been bowled out for 47 the week before, those boys must have been feeling good on Saturday.
Yeah, well, Shire Green put on 330 there. So that's some effort, isn't it? With Mohammed Moshin Khan 146 and a bit of help, a couple of 50s there as well. And then Sana Ullah Khan 5 for 59 in the bowling. So yeah, terrific performance from Shire Green. And Treaton bowled out, I think, as a 50 over match, isn't it? So bowled out with 1 ball to spare. But is that win-loss cricket
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah. So
it
it
is,
doesn't make a
definitely.
lot of difference.
You got to tell us, Jonty, we've asked a couple of people this now, what's the lowest you've been bowled out for in a team?
As a team, I played a couple of seasons ago. I played for Datchet in the home counties Premier League. It was going to be a big day. I can't remember exactly who we were playing. I think maybe High Wycombe. And Mum and Dad were flying over from Jersey for the game, and we got bowled out for 32 within about 45 minutes. And Mum and Dad just arrived at the ground as High Wycombe knocked them off. So we went down to the pub with Mum and Dad and the team, and sat there, and they were asking for a refund on the flight. So yeah, 32 is probably the lowest that we've been skittled for, I think.
That's a day, isn't it? You fly all the way from Jersey to see your son play. Did you get any of that 32? Got to ask.
I think I've probably got a good 4 or 5 or something like that. So
top score. Yeah,
no, it's a bit of a rough day, but that's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? I mean, Mum and Dad have done plenty of travelling around to see me on some good days and some bad days. Played out in South Africa, and they flew out there, and we played a 2-day game and got 2 first ball ducks out there. So yeah, there's going to Datchet probably doesn't sound as bad. You can just fly straight to Heathrow rather than 10 hours to Cape Town.
They obviously got to see more of their son, which is the main thing, you know.
Yeah. We'll play it off as that. Exactly that. Yeah. Exactly.
You've led me into ask the obvious question: were they at Cartama for the European Champions final as well?
They came out for the qualifying week, which was nice. We had quite a few sort of Jersey supporters of parents and a couple of people involved with Jersey cricket.
But they missed the first ball duck in the final.
They missed the first ball duck in the final. They did. Yeah.
There you go. They're not a jinx then. They're not quite a jinx.
No, not quite.
Yeah, we'll come to that and Mr. Mohammed Irfan later, I'm sure, without a shadow. Hey, we've talked about low scores there. Let's go the opposite end of the street. You had a rather good weekend, Jonty, I think is the best way to put it, on Saturday, didn't you? Scored 146 off 78 balls, was it?
Yeah. So we played, Preston Nomads played against Three Bridges on Saturday. We started off quite nicely. We got put into bat because there was a little bit of weather around on Friday night. I wasn't really too sure what the pitch was going to do. I've actually, so in the mornings I work with my housemate up at the ground, so we prepare the wickets. I spent a fair bit of time on the roller last week. Made sure it was nice and flat. But yeah, we got put in, and boys started really nicely, and then I kind of, as usual, take a little bit of a dip. I bat in the middle order at 5, so usually try kind of get on with it as much as I can. And just one of those days really where everything kind of came out the middle of the bat and managed to get a fair few away. So to end up with 146, it was a pretty special day, to be honest with you.
When you go in, in that kind of innings, are you going from ball one, or have you just sort of seeing how things lie and it just go with it?
It's funny. I was speaking to one of the boys on the sideline when I was waiting to bat, and he was chatting to me about, obviously I played quite aggressively last week, got out at probably a silly time playing aggressively, but over the last few years, kind of that fear of failure and fear of getting out, I've kind of relinquished a little bit, because I know that if I play in a certain way, which is trying to score quickly, I'll basically come off kind of 1 in 3 games. Whereas if I try and nudge and nurdle, a lot of the time I don't look to score, and then I don't really influence the game batting at 5 like that. So that's one of the things actually probably going away and playing T10 stuff's really helped with, because it's actually opened up different areas of the field to score, which has been great, and hopefully can kind of take that now into the rest of the season.
Have you changed sort of technique, or is it the same thing? Is it just pure mindset?
No, it's just mindset, really. I think T10, obviously, it really makes you have to go for pretty much every ball, which sometimes 50 over cricket you're not really going to get. But probably the way that it's going, you see the scores in one days now, and even the One Day Cup last year, teams are going ballistic from pretty much the outset and throughout. And strike rate in the IPL they've been looking at is so huge. So just trying to kind of keep up with the game as much as you can. And it naturally fits into my aggressive style of batting. Obviously, the Jersey coach as well is pretty keen on me doing that role for Jersey. So it doesn't really change all that much. And if you roll the wicket all week, then you've got a good one. you can give it a bit of a smack, hopefully.
You'll have a look at the weather early in the week and you'll go, do you know what? This is my week to sit on that roller and do nothing else.
Yeah, no, well, to be fair, we got a couple of like I said, my housemate Dan, who works down at the ground as well, and then we've got another guy who's come over from Burgess Hill last year called Ian Plummer. So they're down at the ground a lot. And I don't know if you guys have been down to Fulking, where Preston Nomads ground is based, but it's a lovely, lovely setting underneath the Sussex Downs, and it's a pretty special place to play club cricket. And yeah, it's just beautiful. So any nice day you get to go down there and cut some grass or sit on the rollers, very, very much a privilege.
We'll add it to the list of the long list of clubs that we're trying to get around at some point in the next few years, because the amount of invites we've got from Premier League clubs now is just growing on a weekly basis, as you imagine. It's crazy. A question I was going to ask on that innings, actually, everyone started to get in, didn't they, as well? I mean, you went in, it was 110 for 3 when you came in. Everyone was in getting 20s and 30s. It looked like a wicket that everyone could score on by the looks of things that day.
Well, don't take anything away from him, you know.
No, it was a good wicket, and there was a short boundary on one side, and they bowled a lot of spin and a lot of medium pace at us. So we've got quite a nice batting lineup at the moment. We're very privileged to have. We've got 3 guys who are at Sussex and 1 boy who's on the academy there. So most weekends, hopefully, we can get those guys. We only had Archie Lenham, who plays for Sussex, and Sam Topping, who's a wicketkeeper, playing for us this week, but managed to get a good start after being put in, and then with the short boundary, we managed to just kind of target that 2 or 3 balls and over, and then all of a sudden we were flying. So plenty of people kind of contributed. Manny Khan, who has played some amazing innings, and if you see any of the highlights, one of the shots he plays in the last over, which is like a reverse switch hit off the seamer, shows you that, pretty good wicket, and I think there was some runs to be had out there.
Got to ask the question then. I mean, You've got a great little squad there. You came second in the league last year with Preston Nomads. Cuckfield, who won the league last year, are down in 4th at the moment. You guys are top. You're obviously really fancying it, aren't you, this year?
Yeah, I think it's one of like just the way that the leagues work in the UK is that it's such a long season. We're going to miss a few games. Like the boys will be. The Sussex boys will probably be in the Blast squad, so we might lose them for a couple of weeks. There's a couple of boys from Jersey, obviously myself included. We've got a big tournament in Germany over the summer, so I think we miss about 4 or 5 weekends. So as much as everyone's like, oh, you're gonna, you must be pushing for the league. Yes, of course we are. I'd be silly if I sat here and said no, we aren't. We want to go one better than last year, but it's just 1 week at a time. It suits up the 5 games of 50 over cricket at the start of the year, and hopefully we can go 5 from 5 with that, and then it kind of opens it up massively for us for coming into the longer format stuff.
Are the Sussex players allocated to you, or you sort of sign them on your own back? There's
a mixture really, so I think Sussex do try and spread the players out as much as they can, but they allow clubs to kind of go in and ask if we can have them. So we've got Dan Ibrahim and his dad Kashif, who's an absolute legend of Preston Nomads, and he's working at Bede's College now and at Sussex as well. He's still there. So we've got Danny and we've got his younger brother Adam, and then we've picked up this year Archie, which is great. By bat and ball, he's been fantastic so far. But like I say, he'll probably play in the T20 Blast squad, I'd imagine. So don't know how much we'll see of him over the next month. And then we've got Zach Leon Cachet, who's been playing for Oxfordshire, and he looks like a really talented player, like a talented sportsman. He was footballer at Southampton for a while, and I think he got released at like 19 a couple of years ago, and picked up cricket like 3 years ago. And
seriously,
absolute gun. So it's pretty cool. And it's nice that they're obviously real youngsters who are just so passionate to play cricket and keen to play every weekend. So yeah, it's nice. And around the league, there's a few Sussex players who kind of get divvied out. So it's a decent standard of league.
It's quite unusual to pick cricket up that late, and to be hitting such a high level. No matter how good a sportsman you are, it's a very difficult game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zach works really hard. Like he's just got a real good work ethos, and he loves hitting balls. So a couple of scores last week for the twos, and don't know whether or not he could be maybe knocking on the door for the first team squad, especially kind of longer format batting. He's good. I say that he smashed 100 and then 80 in our semi-final and the final of the T20 comp last year, and kind of won it single-handedly for us. So yeah, it's really, really good group of players, but they're really, really nice lads as well, and are great around the club, helping out other people. So yeah, it's nice to have them on board.
So it sounds like the first 5 games you're going to go really hard at these 50 over games. You then go into the timed games for the Sussex League for that middle portion. You've obviously got, again, at the back end, you've got some more 50 overs, I think. Is that right? You guys will hopefully be back for that. So it's just finding that balance in the squad by the sounds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really lucky in terms of the fact that we have got quite a bit of strength and depth. and also characters who understand that even if they're doing well in the first team, they might have to go and play in the twos. We had quite a good conversation at the start of the year, just saying, look, the strength and depth we've got of our squad, there might be players who are playing in a team that they don't think they should be, but you kind of just have to put your ego to one side, and it's trying to help the club as much as we can. The twos are now in the second division, which is great. They got promoted last year. So, yeah, the twos are playing a really good standard of cricket. We get a lot of the kids when they finish school from like Brighton College and Beeds who come in and they bolster that squad as well. So the youngsters are also getting a really, really good opportunity in the second division. It works. It works quite well.
If you haven't got that pathway coming through, it's club cricket dies on its backside, doesn't it? It's all well and good bringing Sussex players, Jersey players, etc. in, but if you haven't got that pathway coming through to fill that hole all the time, it just doesn't exist. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And we're really lucky. Like a lot of clubs over the UK I know have got similar, but Friday nights we're down there doing a barbecue or whatever, and all the kids are down there, and it's great, like just to see so many kids involved with cricket. And actually I think, as much as I'm not a massive fan of the 100, I actually think that's really brought a lot of kids in. And obviously the World Cup win in 2019, we're kind of seeing that now as the next kind of generation of kids coming through. So we've got loads of youngsters who are really keen, and they'll come and watch on a Saturday. So yeah, it works really well.
This sort of 100 debate, goes on, and there's so many sides to it. Everyone's set down the pickets and lines and things, but I see it from the youth side, and I think it's invaluable from a youth cricket point of view. Like you just said, it connects with the kids so well. It's so positive. They don't care about whatever cricket. They're not bothered about what this isn't 4-day cricket, or it's not traditional. They just want cricket. And what I've seen happen is it's flown from the 100 into Test cricket, into 4-day cricket. I was having a conversation last night about Derbyshire holding out for a draw with one of my under-15s. It's the gateway. It's acted as the gateway, which I think it's supposed to. So I think it's been a very positive thing, so long as they can use it to support the rest of cricket.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. Like I'm working in a school at the moment at Hurstpierpoint College, and it's funny, quite a lot of the teachers who are sort of into their cricket, but not massively so, they've been up to Lords or been up to the Oval, and they go and watch, and they've got young kids as well, so they go and watch the women's game in the morning or afternoon. And then there's a DJ, and they just said it's like a party atmosphere. It's like a proper day out. So absolutely, I get what you say. It's a gateway. I get really confused. I umpire the games at school, and I have no idea what is going on.
You've umpired a 100 game. I've not done a 100 game.
Yeah, so I try. Well, the only good thing is that I can obviously count. I am from Jersey, but I can count on my 5 fingers, so it's good.
There's the clip, and there is the name of the pod, without a shadow. I'm with you. I mean, last year, I went to my first ever 100 game at Trent Bridge, and I've told this story a couple of times where I took my wife along, and it's taken me years to get my wife to understand that 6-ball over cricket. And the moment she took one look at the scoreboard at Trent Bridge and it was 100, it just completely threw her, which just shows that it doesn't, once you've got someone into inverted commas old school cricket, there is a changeover. But then I look at my own personal club, where we've gone from having less than a dozen juniors to over 90 in the last 8-9 years, and there's not one Derbyshire shirt ever turns up. But I see Trent Rocket shirts, I see Birmingham Phoenix shirts, and you think, it's there. If that's coming through, that's got to be a good thing for cricket in the long term, hasn't it?
It's also an indictment on Derbyshire's marketing capabilities as well, isn't it? So
that'll get us in trouble straight away. Hey, let's have a look at another league, shall we, Hugh? Where should we go next? Let's go to the Birmingham and District Premier League, because there's something quite fascinating happening there at the moment, in that Moseley, last year's champions, are absolutely stone bottom and can't get themselves going, whereas Nolan Dorridge are flying at the moment, aren't they?
So Birmingham District, Wolverhampton beat Kenilworth Wardens, Smethwick beat Ombers Lee, Nolan Dorridge beat West Bromwich, Barnes Green beat Himley. We had one abandoned game. Not sure what happened there, but I don't know how that's fallen foul of weather, because it seemed a lovely day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Barton Green, 323 runs, beat Moseley by 192 runs.
Yeah, they just can't get going this year, Moseley. And considering that they won the league last year reasonably comfortably, to be in that situation, whereas Nolan Dorridge, I think, have gone off to a flyer, and I think they could be one of the clubs of the year to watch around the whole of the Premier Leagues.
Yeah, well, they're always strong, aren't they? They're a big name, famous name, lots of famous players coming through there. You've got Hamza Sheikh there, who's knocking around Warwickshire's set up, and you see him a lot of county second team games and England under 19s as well. So he's got an 84 from 75 balls there. So he's one to watch this year. We picked him out last year, so he's doing the business. Certainly in club cricket, I don't think he's having quite as much success in second team cricket this year, but doing really well there. And then strong with the ball as well. We got 4 for 17, and then a big sporting cast all the way down. So they're just strong, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely one to watch. Hey, let's have a look at the batters around the whole of the country, shall we? We've got Jonty on, who scored his 146 at the weekend, but there were some other big scores around the country in the batters around the country. Shall we start at the very top with Ryan Maskell? Yeah,
Ryan Maskell, Bognor Regis, not too bad there. 162 not off 137 balls versus Middleton, and we got also on 162, but he got out, so he comes second.
Yeah, but there's a story behind that one. We know that Josh Smith was dropped in single figures as well. And it was, I'm told, tough chance for the Long Sutton keeper, down the leg side, popped out on impact. I might have an inside view there by the sounds of things, you might know. But to be dropped in single figures, you can imagine what that keeper was thinking for the rest of the afternoon as Josh got to 162 in a big scoring game there for Market Deeping in Long Sutton.
I've never got a big score without being dropped. So, I'm all for Josh, cashing in there.
Did you get dropped at the weekend, Jonty?
Yes, there was one chance on about 70. I think I got dropped at extra cover, but it was, diving. Would have been a good one. But like you say, I don't think you're going to rarely go through an innings where you don't give away a chance. I think Brian Lara, when he got 400, he got dropped, didn't he? In single figures. Right. And the keeper said, that might cost us a few. So when they declared on 960 for 6, I think, it was probably a bit of a tough day for him.
At least in your case this weekend, you weren't out there for very long. You just got a lot of runs. So, it wasn't too painful. It was painful numbers wise, but the worst ones, if someone's, if I'm keeper and if I, drop someone first over and then they bat for 45 or whatever, that kills me just looking at the same bloke. So at least you're only there for 70 odd balls.
On that note, who else took your eye on those top scorers then?
Well, it's Teague Wiley again. He popped up first game last week. I think he got 70 odd last week. And then he's got 148 against Wimbledon in the Surrey Champ. So, one of the best clubs in the country there. And he's just rocked up from Western Australia, 148 off 128 balls. Never played on these wickets. We've seen Australians struggle in other parts of the country, just getting used to different conditions. And I know the wickets are normally lovely in the Surrey Champ, but he's going to be one to watch this year. He's some talent. I've kept an eye on him over the last few years. I'm hoping, I had a quick chat with him yesterday, which is nice. And hopefully we'll get him on to talk us through his move over and how he's been getting on. But he's some player. But we've got quite a lot of big scores. I'm just running down my list here. I mean, we've got more than 30 hundreds. Let's have a quick look.
That's a big weekend.
We've got 40 hundreds in Premier Leagues this weekend. So that's a lot of hundreds. And right down at 38th with exactly 100, but also 67 balls. Loreen at Steenkamp, Bradford and Bingley against New Farnley. So there's some quick stuff as well. There's quite a lot of quick scores around the place. Not quite with yours, Jonty, but and Tom McCreary at Grappenhall as well, 122 off 71 balls. He's going really well. So there's some fast hundreds and lots of high scoring. Particularly, just these wickets just seem to be settling down a bit after some horrendous weather for much of the start of the year.
Well, clearly it's people like Jonty who are sitting on these rollers week in, week out right now. All of a sudden the scores are starting to go up and we can start to see these spinners coming through on the bowling stats as well, isn't it? Without a doubt. Tell us, down at your place, Jonty, is it, in Sussex generally, are they spin-friendly wickets when it comes to getting the hardness during the summer?
I think through the middle of the summer, there's certain grounds that you go to will take more spin. Obviously, we're lucky in that most clubs have their own groundsman. So they'll speak to the captain and kind of ask what they want, and hopefully they can then prepare that if they get the weather. Usually down at Nomads, it's quite a good cricket wicket. I mean, they've obviously played a lot of second 11 cricket there over the past few years. And it's you have an hour in the morning where it might do a little bit, and then afterwards it tends to break up a little bit in the afternoon and can spin. But yeah, most of the time the scores are quite high. Somewhere like Horsham, again, very good batting wicket, does spin a little bit. They've got Bertie Foreman and Will Beer down there who bowl nicely. But yeah, it spins there. Cookfield last year who won it, and Josh Hayward, I think he took 60 wickets last year. And he's a fantastic bowler. He has been for the last few years. I don't think he's playing this year because he's done his back. But yeah, we've got obviously Horntie, which Sussex used to play at, with Hastings coming back up into the Prem. So yeah there's a few grounds that have got really good wickets. And it's usually quite batting friendly, I would say, and then spins kind of through the middle of the year if we get the right weather.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey, while we're talking about bowlers in the Sussex League, just give us some names for listeners around the country to look out for. Josh Hayward got 50 wickets in the Premier League last year. Ajit Sambi, I think, got 30 odd. Fraser Sheep got 30. Tom Hinley got 30. Who are the names out there that you look out for? You know, when you're coming up in the team sheets each week, going, hang on, who are we looking at playing against here, and they're going to give us some trouble?
I think obviously every team's got a couple of decent enough bowlers. We played Middleton last week, and they're overseas at he bowled nicely. Middleton can be a little bit, it doesn't really bounce as much there, so he probably didn't have quite his strongest weapon. But yeah, they've obviously got decent bowlers. Lewis Hatchett's still knocking around. He bowls quite nicely, very canny operator. Obviously, we get some of the Sussex seamers back at times as well. But yeah, there's a few guys who certainly can do a job. Our bowling attack's nice. We've also got Dan Ibrahim and we've got Nav Patel, who have been kind of standout performers, or Nav's certainly been a standout performer for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
Horsham last year had Ben Lister, who's obviously gone on to play for New Zealand. So he's pretty handy. But I'm not really too sure if there's been much recruitment. I'm not a massive cricket nose, so I don't really look around too much. I just see we're playing that week and go, okay, right, fine, yeah.
I know one player who is missing from your league. Tom Hinley's no longer there, obviously, so he's a bit further north at the moment, shall we say?
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. But I know that old club side Datchet, they've got their overseas coming over pretty soon, which will be good for them. That's Arjun Tendulkar is over after the IPL commitments, so I think they've lost their first two games. So hopefully Arjun can come in and bowl some good left arm heat and clean up a few teams. So yeah, good luck to them.
You keep a close eye on your old clubs then?
Yeah, no, I always have a look at how Datchet are doing. I played there when I was on the NCCA Young Cricketers. I was over living in London, so a couple of my mates were playing down at Datchet. So yeah, I went down there, which was a really good fun couple of years actually. But yeah, always look out for how they're doing. And
in terms of your career going forward, you obviously ensconced in club cricket at Preston Nomads. You're still on Sussex's books?
No, nothing with Sussex. So that's been quite a while now. So in the area, I'm working locally at a school. I've been doing a bit of work for Sussex as fielding coach for them, which has been great. Right. But yeah, just nothing really with Sussex. So it's more Jersey and Preston Nomads and some European T10 exploits here and there.
And Jersey keeps you busy because it's not just been local stuff anymore, has it? I mean, it's been international.
Yeah, well, we obviously last year in April we played our first load of one-day international fixtures, which was great for all the boys. I think we've put in a lot of hard work over the last 7 or 8 years. So to get that was fantastic. This summer we've got T20 in Germany, which is a 10-team tournament. That'll be quite brutal. And then in October, end of September, beginning of October, we've got a week in Zimbabwe for a warm-up week, and then our Challenge League A in Kenya for 2 weeks at the end of September. So that's something to look forward to at the end of the year. Hopefully, should be a real
I've got to ask, is that going to be a nice warm-up for the European Championships? Because you're down to being, I think, Group D in the European Championships. You guys going to have been playing for 2 or 3 weeks together before you come over to Cartama.
Yeah, but it just depends on who we can get. Obviously, a lot of the boys work, and it's great to be able to go and play these things. But a lot of the boys kind of take a hit by either taking annual leave or kind of making sure that they don't get paid. So hopefully we can get a decent team out to the European week. I think we've got the Netherlands and Italy in our group, which would be good. Looks like quite a tough group. So hopefully we can get a strong squad out there. And it was obviously going to help if we've been playing 2 weeks or 3 weeks of 50 over cricket before that.
Well, I'm guessing you'll potentially be out there. Mr. Tribe, Asa Tribe will be out there probably. Julius?
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
That's a decent three to put into the squad to start with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The boys did well last year. We took a little bit of a younger side, like almost a Jersey A side for the first week, and they managed to come through with flying colours. So I think the big thing in Jersey for us to keep kind of topping up with what we've already got, which is a pretty strong squad, is just try and expose a few of the younger guys who are probably knocking on the door to those tournaments early on, and it just gives them the belief and the confidence that they can do it. And the European T10, the coverage of everything, the way that it works is brilliant. So the more that we can get the younger kids through that, is gonna help Jersey go forward in the future for sure.
How does the pathway work in Jersey? I mean, there's some big names there. That obviously yourself and the tribe. I think the tribe. Is there 2 tribe brothers?
Yeah.
There's some serious talent. And what's the population? 100,000 in Jersey? Is it even that?
Yeah, it's 100,000. So it's a strange one as well. Without getting too kind of political on it, it's really weird because a lot of the teams that we play against, so Italy, for example, in the past few years, we've had some really good battles with them. And they've been able to call on the likes of Jade Dernbach, Grant Stewart.
Dodgy passports,
Wayne Madsen.
Gareth Berg, Wayne Madsen, which, fair enough. If you can get those guys in, I always say, why wouldn't you? That's completely fair enough. It's just we're at a little bit of a loss because there's no such thing as a Jersey passport. So
there's a lot of people want a Jersey passport. It's hard to get. Yeah.
So, we've got a couple of guys who are playing away. So we've got Nick Greenwood, who plays for Wellington, and we've got Ben Ward, who's played for the Cape Cobras over in South Africa. He lives in Cape Town. So we've got a couple of guys that we can bring in, but they are born in Jersey. So, we do really well for a 100,000 population. We do very well.
Is it club based? Is it school based? What's the sort of pathway through? How many teams are there?
So there's only 4 teams in the Premier League over there. It's all limited overs cricket. So they do 3 rounds of T20s and then 3 rounds of 40 overs. And then apart from that, there'll be an interinsular each year, which is Jersey versus Guernsey.
Well, that's a big one, isn't it? I mean,
huge fixture. So, but there's, one of the guys who plays in the team, Don Blompe, he's a pathway coach and he works a lot. We've got age groups from under 11s, under 13s, under 15s, and then under 19s after that. And then, like we said, we need to just keep making sure that we top up with kind of 1 or 2 players a year. There's been some actually really good performers over in Jersey club cricket as well. So we've just had a new coach come in who's from you guys' way, Paul Hutchinson. So he's now the coach. So he's taken over from Neil McRae, who did a fantastic job. And I think Hutch might have some ideas about trying to give those guys who are doing well in club cricket maybe a bit more of a go in the senior team.
But we see the Jersey youth sides doing tours of the UK and playing county sides and rep sides. But it's very expensive, to come over and play against those standard teams. It's difficult for the kids, difficult for the parents. It's not like just driving an hour down the road, is it? You've got to get a flight or a ferry.
No, the only thing I would say is I think if you're from Jersey, you're kind of used to that. Like if you want to go away, rugby's the same, football's the same. Jersey football are playing in tier sort of 13 or 14 of the Football League at the moment, and they play 3 games a week. 2 of them are away. So you're just used to, okay, fine, it's going to be an early morning get up and you're going to have to pay some money to get on the flight. But if you're not wanting to be there, then you wouldn't be there in the first place. Like you kind of have to take that as it comes, really. But we're very lucky. Like we got obviously EasyJet who do great deals on flights for getting over to the UK. So I know that the under 15s last year I think played Derbyshire and Leicestershire up you guys way. So they managed to get some good fixtures because otherwise it's just difficult to kind of gauge where you're at. I think if you're a youngster back at home.
So it's time once again for us to look at the Crickex performance of the week, and join us as always from the Crickex stable. We've got Matt Taff. How are we doing, Matt?
Very well, mate. Good to be back on for another week.
Good. And you had another win this weekend yourself?
Another win, yes. So hopefully we can keep picking a few up and see where we end up. But it's all going well so far.
Hey, well, for listeners, just keep an eye out for what Lytham end up doing this weekend, because it will be at the end of Matt's birthday celebration week, so God knows what's going to happen there, to say the least. But hey, let's get down to your players in the Cricket stable. Some runs are starting to flow, I think, mate.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a big weekend, to be honest. All the Cricket players have performed really well. So, but leading us off, we've had 156 not out. Off 112 balls from Georgia Atkinson of Cheltenham Cricket Club. She's an exciting prospect coming out of Central Districts in New Zealand, so she is one to watch for the future. And then Visharaj Jadeja, an absolute run machine. He's gone 153 on the Saturday, and then 94 not out for Wickersley Old Village in the Southern Yorkshire Premier League. It takes his average to, I think, around about 110, 115. So he's some player.
He's had a good weekend.
Yeah, he's had a very good weekend. We played against him a couple of years back, and he got 144 against us and sent us to all parts. So he's a serious talent. Moving on there, we've had Cam Fletcher. He's gone 115 for New Farnley in the Bradford Premier League. Again, a run machine. Back in to score plenty more hundreds throughout the summer. Raminder Wijesuria. He's gone 170 not out for Ifield. That came off 69 balls as well, so he's not messed about there. He's got on with his job and put in a big performance. 105 not out for Isaac Dirtgale for Warminster, and then finishing us off, we've had 102 for Cole Briggs, again New Zealander, in an absolute looked a good day to bat at Harpenden, 650 plus runs in the game, and his 102 came off 78 balls. So that rounds off our batters of the week.
Cam Fletcher's one that's made a lot of noise last year at New Farnley, and obviously they got him back. Started off with a duck in the cup and no results, so that's his first league game. Actually, no, his duck was after his. Yeah, so he got 115 on Saturday and a duck on Sunday. But shots his average down to just a meagre 115 there in those two innings. But yeah, he had a terrific season last year, averaging 86 across all matches for New Farnley. So a top start from him.
I know we got at the top of around the rest of the country, non-Cricket players there, Hugh.
Just the Premier League talking here. Ryan Maskell to Notts against Middleton, for Bognor Regis against Middleton. Josh Smith as well with 162 against Long Sutton. That's for Market Deeping. Viv Paver, North Mims in the Hearts League, 149 not out of 135 balls. Teague Wiley, we talked about him already today. Terrific performance from him, 148 against Wimbledon for Esher. I'm going to see a lot of him this year, I think. And then Jonty Jenner, our superstar guest this week, with his incredible 146 off 78 balls for Preston Nomads against Three Bridges in the Sussex League. Those are the top five. But runs galore.
That'll take some beating strike rate rise, I think, during the season, won't it?
Yeah, we've had a few. It was a really big one. I think somebody got 100 off 60 balls or 50 balls earlier in the season. But yeah, that's certainly in terms of strike rate and higher score, that's going to be very, very tough to beat.
Definitely. Let's go down the bowlers. Who's been bowling for you again, Matt?
So again, following on from the batters with some big scores, we've had an awful lot of wickets taken from our Cricket players, but starting us off, we've had Budika Sanjeewa. He's gone 6 for 14 and then 6 for 27 for Conisborough. Both of them were against Ortybridge on both Saturday and Sunday in the League and Cup. So he's given a few of their boys some nightmares on Saturday night and then given them a few on the Sunday as well. So great performance from him. KC Karapa, he's gone 6 for 17. Mildenhall, he's former Kings 11 Punjab and Rajasthan Royals leg break bowler.
He's a name I think we're going to hear all season.
Yeah, I think. And speaking of names all season, with fourth week in a row, Delanka Orwart, he's gone 6 for 23 again. I think that's his third 6 for in a row. So we'll probably get used to mentioning him and talking about him. Roshal Lackman's gone 5 for 27 for North Devon. And then lead finishing us off here, we've got Prayash Singh, 5 for 26 for Skelmanthorpe. So it wasn't a week dominated by left arm spin. We've only got 2 of the top 5 there, with the seamers and the leg spinners coming in and helping the others out. Left
arm spin having a week off almost, Hugh. It's unheard of.
Wow, yeah. There's a few spinners still taking wickets, though.
Who else we got then above? KC Karapa hit our weekly schedule of top bowlers, but there's a couple more above him.
He did, yeah. I think what was interesting about his spell was he only bowled 6.5 overs to get his 6 wickets.
Yeah.
So he didn't take long to run through Great Witchingham. Made a lot of noise but they've not put the results up yet. So he did for them for Mildenhall. Top Maddie McKinnon, a very familiar name, had a very, very strong day. He's going to appear in our all-rounders as well. And 8 wickets for 35 off 17 overs for him, for Lee, in a losing cause. So Rainhill won that one, but he got a 50 and 8 wickets. Max Mannering for Ashton Rowan against Wokingham, 7 for 24. Matthew Keogh, 10 overs. We haven't had a 10 wicket yet. 10 overs, 6 for 15 for Wallasey at Newton the Willows. Sam Steeple, 6 for 15 as well for Chorley against Blackpool. And then Casey Carippa, 6 for 17 there. And then Connor Marshall also with 6 for 17 at Sandy Acre against Dunstall.
Some good numbers starting to come through across the country now. You can just see the weather's starting to improve. The pitches are getting better. And let's be honest, the cream's starting to rise to the top there, I think, Matt.
Yeah, it's by the looks of things, it all is, and let's hope it continues for our players.
Most definitely. Hey, thanks for joining us again. Now, before we finish on the Cricket Performance of the Week, just in case you might happen to be in the Buckhurst Hill area, the Cricket 11 have got a game against the Tamil Nadu 11 starting at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 22nd of May. Get along and see some of the best players around the country are going to be joining the Cricket 11 on and off during the season. They're going to have 1 or 2 representative games in different parts of the country, and you can't, if the weather's nice, you can't beat a good day's cricket down at Buckhurst Hill. A fantastic place to go watch cricket without a shadow. So good to see you, Matt, and we'll catch up with you next week to do another Cricket Performance of the Week.
Yep, cheers, guys. Look forward to it.
Thanks, Matt.
And let's jump back into a couple more of the leagues then, Hugh. Shall we go all the way down, almost as close to Jersey as we can get? Shall we get down to Devon? We talked Cornwall last week and the Goldsworthy boys, who we're not going to talk about this week because they didn't have the best of weekends. But let's talk about Devon. We talked about big runs in some of the other leagues. Completely the opposite down in Devon last weekend, mate.
Yeah, we've got, just having a quick scan down, we've got 5 games there in that league. What's the top score looking at?
Sanford, last year's champions, 189 for 8.
Yeah, that's top. So we've got a 53 in an abandoned game. I don't know how many.
18 overs there.
Yeah, not great there. 95, plays 119, 167, 189, 90, abandoned. And 149 plays 158. So Brandnich and Kentsbeer won that match. Looking at the top scores in those games, Sam Elston, 70. That's looking like the top score of the weekend in that league.
Not a lot going on down there last week. Must be a tough weekend when they've just got going in the season again. And I have a couple of games abandoned. But Sanford, who won last year, as I say, they're top of the league. They're already 9 points ahead on the league at the moment. So looking good for them. Cornwood, who are in second place, abandoned game. And we talk about it, on and on. Every time you have an abandoned game and somebody else gets to win, it makes such a big difference in the league, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a fairly chaotic set of fixtures across the country, and this is a good representative of the state of play across the country. But yeah, there's a few wickets knocking about as well. Finn Stoneman, 6 for 30 for Heathcote against Bovey Tracy, so that's the top performance from him. But yeah, the wickets sort of fairly spread out where the matches happened. Runs hard to come by.
Definitely. And let's go back up north. Let's go up to the Greater Manchester League. Last year was won by Roe Green. Roe Green are in second place at the moment. Beat Woodbank at the weekend comfortably, having scored 202. They bowled Woodbank out for 71. But Clifton are leading the league at the moment. Again, it's on the back of a cancelled game, with a big win there at home to Edgeworth, scoring 264 for 7 for Clifton. Yeah,
and a big score from Ryan Ayres. Is he their pro? Is he visiting pro? No, he's their pro. So top score from him. He's had a solid start this season. Yeah, 74 not in the cup, 30 and then 113. Took a little bit of getting going, but he's done really well there. He was with them last year as well, so he's a comeback. Not good on them for sticking with it. I mean, he didn't have a bad season last season, but he did pretty well. But this year he's really got off to a flyer, so that he's looking like a great signing for them. But 113 off 109 for him to beat Edgeworth.
Jonty, bowlers, youngsters, who are the players that you've seen in the Sussex League that you'd keep an eye out for? Any youngsters players generally?
Young players generally. So, I mean, there's a lad at Horsham, Charlie Tier, who's gone off to Gloucester on loan now, but he's just been picked in the Scotland World Cup squad. So he's certainly a youngster who's done very, very well. There's another lad at Middleton called Josh Wood, who I used to play with a little bit in the Sussex age group stuff, but he kind of always bangs the door down. He's there or thereabouts with sort of run score in the league. Other youngsters, so we've got one coming through at the moment at Cookfield, who is also at the school that I'm at, but Henry Rogers, who just missed out on under 19s last year, is a nice player, bats and bowls, bats very nicely, can take attacks apart and bowls pretty consistently, nice away swingers. So he's certainly a player to look out for in the future. And then I think, obviously, I've mentioned him a couple of times already, but Archie Dunham, who's kind of had almost a breakthrough year a few years ago with the T20, he's really putting in some graft over the winter, and he's looking like he's going to be there or thereabouts as well. So hopefully he has a good T20 blast season. And then, apart from that, there's a lot of youngsters kind of all over the league, really, who have either played a little bit of Sussex 2s cricket or they're out playing unis cricket. So it's certainly bolstering the stand of the league, which is exactly what you want.
And Archie's top of the wicket takers in the Premier League at the moment. He's only 8 wickets in the first few games, but you're going to lose him for the T20s, you think? Yeah,
potentially. I don't know how it'll work. Obviously Sussex haven't got Rashid Khan back this year, so Archie might have a little bit more of a role with the ball. But I struggle. I feel like, I play spin quite well because that's been my role in the Jersey team for the last sort of 10 years that I've played for them. But I'm mitting to Archie before we go out and play, and I'm stood 26 yards back, and I have absolutely no idea which way the ball's spinning. He's properly done me over a few times. So it's just a quick arm action over the top, like you see now with a lot of 20 spinners. And I think for league cricket, he's certainly a handful for a lot of the batters.
There's some shoes to fill if he's coming in to replace Rashid Khan. So that's if he's able to do that, then there's some talent there, isn't there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He loves the battle as well, so that's good. Hove can be pretty flat, I think, and it's quite small down there. So hopefully he gets a roll and he does well, but he's definitely moved in the right direction.
I wonder if he'll get to play 2s against the NCCA challengers in the next week.
Yeah, well, they're in now, aren't they? So that's really exciting for them. Obviously, I know a few of the guys who used to play against and with. So Tom Lambert used to be captain at Datchet. So he's obviously done, I think he's done quite a lot of work with Dan Lincoln.
He's the head coach there,
behind the scenes with that. So best of luck to them. It's great. I think now the MCC Young Cricketers is gone, it's great to have something like that kind of players who maybe didn't quite make it at 20 or 21, they've actually got something to fall back on. And minor counties cricket's brilliant for those guys. I know a lot of guys who play that. And it just gives them another way back in potentially, rather than just be kind of left out to dry.
Did you do quite a lot of the sort of second team rounds when you were sort of a few years back?
Yeah. So I moved over from Jersey when I was 16 and came to school over here. So I kind of played second team cricket from 16 to 21 probably, which was great. And some of the players who played with were outstanding, and it's great to see them doing well now. Just probably wasn't quite. I wasn't quite as good as I probably thought I was at that stage. So I did okay. I scored a couple of hundreds, did all right, but I just was always batting at kind of like 7 or 8, and I kind of knew deep down that probably I wasn't really going to be there or thereabouts.
How did you find the standard compared to the Premier League? Is it a better standard? It's quite hard to tell from afar because you don't quite know who's coming at you. Obviously, you can have a Jofra Archer bowling at you like we saw this week, but also guys returning from injury and maybe doing different things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's the nature of it is you've usually got some hungry youngsters who are really keen to either be bowling for a contract or trying to bowl as fast as they can, and then you maybe have senior pros who are potentially on workload, like looking after their workloads for the week. So you might know that going out to bat, you've only got to face sort of 5 or 6 overs, even though it might be a big name. So that's kind of in your head. I think that's okay to deal with. But certainly when we played a few years ago, like when I was 18 or 19 and we had Jofra, Ollie Robinson, Stuart Whittingham, those sorts of guys, Abhi Sikandi, like it was a decent standard of cricket. And a lot of the guys now, obviously the nature of it is that they grow and they get better and they go on to play. A lot of the guys who I've just mentioned there haven't. But it's when you're in and you're playing it, I think you always think that this is a good standard. And there's a lot of teamers around who obviously at the moment with what Rob Keys said about people having to bowl fast, I think there's a lot of boys who are getting stronger and faster and fitter. So I think over the next few years, it should be, it will continue to grow and grow.
Fantastic, yeah.
Definitely. It'd be remiss of me to not talk, when you talk about the word standards, about what went on in Khartoum in February and the European Champions League. You've been around that European cricket for a little while now, Jonty. Are you seeing that standard growing quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think obviously the scores throughout the week and the way that teams are now playing, it happens very, very quickly. Quickly. But I think the teams that are coming through are getting an understanding of how to play T10 cricket, especially the top teams. I think there's probably now, you look at 10 teams out of all of them who've got a really good foundation. They've got maybe one or two guys who can absolutely whack it. They've got handy bowlers. Certainly when we were away playing in the Western Shield a couple of weeks after, the boy from Belgium who was bowling like the sort of dipping slower balls at the end, there's some really, really good cricketers on the European network. And the fact that they're actually getting some airtime, obviously speak to a few guys, Vinny and Rico, quite a lot about kind of people who they think are decent. They watch a lot of the cricket, so they're the best guys to ask. But there's definitely some really good things happening there, and it's a great product, the European Cricket Network.
It is, and you had an interesting journey, I think, through the qualifiers of the Champions League in February. You came third in your group. But then you did it the hard way to get through to finals week, basically, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. So OV's club side from Jersey, who I played for when I was back for kind of COVID, and it's a school old boys team. We, managed to finish third in the group, and then we had to play in the qualifier against the Bulgarian side first up. So we managed to sweep them aside quite easily, and then we had to play the Gamblers, who we lost to in the first game of the week. Well, we played nicely, and then obviously in the final we managed to knock off Olsen, I think it was, the Austrian side. So under the light with all your mates who you've grown up playing cricket with, I think I've been really lucky to have travelled to some amazing places with cricket, but actually those memories from that week at Khartoum with guys you kind of used to go to school with, or your proper best mates, to be able to do that under the lights and have a pretty large night out afterwards was certainly pretty special.
That sounds very familiar, Hugh, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. There's a few sore heads coming out of that.
Definitely. I mean, qualifier 2 of that group week, you scored 101 off 28 balls. To beat Gamblers, who I think Gamblers were a bit of a surprise package in that week, weren't they? And you beat them quite comfortably in the end there. 97 off 31 in the finals, set you up nicely for the finals week, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it's a bit of a strange one. You say that I played quite a bit of European cricket. Previously to that, I coached the Farmers 2 years ago, and then I played a little bit when we went in October. But it actually took, everyone was like, when I was coaching, they're like, oh, this is perfect for your game. But it took me a little bit of a while to get used to it. Can I stop you there? How can you say a strike rate of 303 and 603 runs in the Champions League, it took a little bit of getting used to? It did. Honestly, I think it was more of a mindset. It was more of a mindset switch rather than anything else. You've got to be completely fearless when you play that. And like I said, that's kind of what I'm trying to take into playing cricket now anyway, in general, like baseball, whatever you want to call it. They're doing the same. So as soon as people start kind of buying into it, I think it's actually amazing what you can do. And if you haven't got that fear of failure of getting out, you're going to get out every week. I'm going to get out 18 weekends in a row, probably. So what's going to give me the best chance to actually score runs? Because if I just sit there and nudge and nurdle, I just don't really feel like I'm playing my best game like that. So yeah, it was a good week though. Great week in Spain, and then obviously we went back for the finals week, which was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, finals week, you guys came second to Hornchurch, did really well. I think we all wanted it to be a Hornchurch Old Victorians final, I think. It was just looking like that's the game that it's got to be. You blasted 106 in the qualifier to get into the final, beating Gina Brescia, who they'd come from nowhere, hadn't they, and literally just flown. I've got to ask, how disappointed were you with the final in the end?
Yeah, I think obviously we were pretty disappointed at the start of the week. We weren't really too sure where we were going to get to. We brought in a couple of ringers. One lad actually who's from your way, Easingwold, Zach Wilson. So he came in and played. I played with him out in Australia. And then we had Julius Sumarawa, who came in and bowled really, really nicely.
Yeah, very much.
Had an interesting game in the qualifier. Well, not in the qualifier, but the group stage with Gina Brescia, where they needed 2 to win off the last ball. And Julius to, not intentionally, but body checked their bloke who didn't end up making the run.
It was the talk of the week for the whole week, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, there was a few comments going around, but No, it was a great week, and to knock off the Irish side, the Scottish side, and then at the other sides we went and drew. We're obviously quite a decent team as well. So I think as we grew in confidence throughout the week, we thought, okay, right, we've got a chance here. We knew that in the final we were going to have to start pretty well, and obviously Mohamed Irfan is a canny operator, I would say.
Canny, terrifying.
yeah, pretty scary, and obviously clean myself up first ball, which can happen, and then cleaned up Julius pretty quickly after that. So we're on the back burner, but it gave great opportunity to some of the younger guys, like I said. So it was a fantastic week, and to come up second, we weren't too disappointed. We'd have loved to have won it, but it was a great week for us.
Well, you had two of the top 5 bowlers in the whole tournament, didn't you, with Matt Webb and Scott Simpson? They carried you through along the way when the batters weren't quite there, but then when the batters did click, it was an amazing couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a really young side. A lot of the guys are still at school, so the fielding and that kind of stuff and the athleticism, that's probably what put us a little bit apart from the rest. Had a young side, so we knew that as the week got on, we weren't going to be probably as sore or have as many niggles as other teams. So it was a really, really good week, and the people who came out to support really enjoyed it. I think we got so much support from back home, so it was fantastic. It
is interesting how it transfers into the T20 game. Playing that T20 and like we've seen from your innings this week, just what happened with the Pro 40 leading into England's 50 over. It almost makes the longer format easier, and the longer format being T20.
Yeah.
Is that the case? From afar, it seems to be that actually it simplifies the game. The shorter the game, the simpler it is. And then your mindset's clearer. And then when you expand to double the overs in 20 overs, is it clear in your head walking out? I mean, with 20 overs, 50 overs, whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, like I always say, is do a fair bit of coaching now, and cricket's a very reactive game. Like, you need to react to the ball. If you get too kind of premeditated with your movements or anything like that, it can just complicate the game. I think the confidence that going to Cartmel has given himself, and I'm sure other cricketers who are now playing, is that most of the time you'll look as a mindset in one-day cricket or T20 cricket to target the first 1 or 2 balls of the over. But it's almost on T10 cricket's on steroids. So that first 2 balls becomes the first 4 balls of the over. And then all of a sudden you've hit 3 boundaries out of your first 4 balls in the over, and you think, well, I'm sitting it all right here, so I'll just keep going. Because if I can take an over for 25 or 30, then we're probably 2 overs ahead of the game. So kind of trying to take that mindset into batting on a Saturday. I don't know how that'll go against the red ball, but whilst it's the pink ball at the moment, obviously going to look to try and attack, and that's something that we kind of picked up out of the T10.
It's amazing how, just looking around, certainly last year, the shift between the time cricket and the limited overs cricket, you're only adding sort of 10 overs most of the time. Obviously it's different, but generally it's 50 versus 60 overs or something along those lines. Some games are longer and some are shorter, but it's amazing how the scores don't seem to go up in correlation. Just adding that, I know 10 overs is a long time, but it surprised me how more cautious people were. And I'm wondering whether that, like you say, may change this year with this shift, especially with the IPL leading the way this year. I wonder if there'll be shift to more fearless cricket in the time cricket games. Yeah,
I think obviously that the risk that you run in the longer format game is if you belt somebody everywhere for sort of 350, 400, the team who are batting second know that they were not going to be able to win, so they're shut up shop straight away. So it's always, that's the beauty of time cricket and the longer format, is trying to get your declaration right, which gives everybody a chance. So yeah, maybe if you get 400 off 30 overs or 35 overs, and give the other team, best part of 70 overs to chase it, then fair enough. But it's always trying to make sure that you can get the declaration right and try and make people actually get a result, because otherwise it's just a little bit of not an irrelevant weekend, but you always want to try and force some sort of.
Perfect opportunity to ask you then. You've got 1 day left on this earth. You've got 1 game of cricket to play. Is it going to be a time game, a 50 over, a 20, or in your case, a T10?
I reckon I would love nothing more than to bat in an Ashes Test match. One day to live. Probably at the MCG. Went there to watch. Obviously, when I was out in Australia, going back at the MCG in a Test match for sure.
So there you go. The guy who's got the 303 strike rate in T10 cricket in the European Champions League still wants to back at the Test match. It's the pinnacle, full stop, end of story, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is. I love the Test cricket. We've always got it on in the background of the flat. And I think my old man, who's an absolute badger, he'll be pretty happy with that as well. So, Test cricket is definitely the pinnacle.
Shall we get back into a couple of the leagues that we're going to look at this week then, Hugh? Can we go all the way far north to the North East Premier League, where there was one quite remarkable game in particular up there, where our friends up at Tynemouth managed to chase down 267.
And won by 8 wickets. A hell of a performance there. Well, walked it, in 40 overs.
Yeah, and no one got a ton. Ben
No.
Debenham, 39, Matthew Kimmett, 40, Robbie Bowman, 81 not out, Matthew Brown, 92. You've all had a nice day out there, haven't you?
Those kind of matches are a bit soul destroying, aren't you? You put up a great total, and then the other teams just breezed it. It must have been a good day. I can imagine it was a good day. Seb Allison with 80 off 54 for Felling. He's walking off smug, isn't he? And then
absolutely.
Didn't happen, did it? But
I'm going to pose the question here that we talk about it quite regularly on the Premier League Cricket Show. I look at the scores there and see Tynemouth with 24 points and Felling with 4 points in a game that's scored 550 runs almost. Has been pretty close. These point systems around the country are quite interesting, aren't they, to say the least?
It's hard, isn't it? It's everyone tries something and nothing's right, is it? There's always good points and bad points. So I don't get involved. Yeah,
we'll just ask Ben Boder in Cheshire, shall we? Because we know what the Cheshire League table looks like at the moment.
The calculation league.
Yeah. It is. Need an algorithm for that one. What else stood out for you in that league last week?
Decent wickets and decent run scoring up there on the whole. Obviously, Benmore Hill fell in a heap. Burmore knocked them off relatively comfortably. No big scores there. Wickets reasonably spread out. We've got Nathan Brierley for Tynedale, 6 for 39. Jack Johnson with 61 for Sunderland. So that was quite an interesting game there. But it's been decent run scoring, which is a bit of a contrast to some other parts of the league. Ashington and Castlereagh. I missed that one. Ashington won by 7 wickets. Castlereagh 82, 85. So it wasn't all roads up there, but it was a fairly lot of team performances. Nobody really doing it all by themselves.
Nice to see Ashington win as well. They unfortunately were victims of a break-in at their club last week on, I think it was on the Saturday night. So the first team were away last weekend. So nice to see them win. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people around that area. Very famous club, Ashington, of course, with Steve Harmison and Mark Wood from there. And it'd be nice to get behind those guys and hopefully support them building back up the bar that they'd already redone this year, would you believe?
Yeah, frustrating. I noticed there's a Harmison in their youth team as well. There's a young Harmison coming through. I think he's Ben Harmison's son. So Steve Harmison's nephew. So there was a couple of Harmisons in one of their youth sides this week, so it'd be nice to see how they go. And I think they're already really tall, so we might have another ball to first slip and then start the Ashes, or second slip, wherever it was.
Yeah, definitely. And John Oswell at Burnett Field, who won our performance of the week last week, couldn't quite repeat it. He only got 20 this week. Burnett Field then came out second very quickly to Newcastle. They put them into bat, who scored 207 and got bowled out quite easily. But Burnmore, top of the league, they've been going well from the start. But South Northumberland, who won the league last year, they've had their first defeat there over at Chester Street. So I think that'll be a bit of a league where everyone's going to beat each other during the season, isn't it?
Well, it's a strong league, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And some good teams, lots of history, lots of good players. It's just been an interesting one to watch.
Definitely.
There are a few leagues around the country where people are already looking to be running away with it, but certainly not up there.
No. Let's go to the other North League that we're going to look at this week, North Wales, where we always put it onto you to get the pronunciation right, otherwise your family will just go mad.
I can do a Clan, but I'm struggling with some of the others. Yeah, so.
You got a Mockter. Mockter are at the top of the table. They're doing all right. So you've done okay with that. St Asaph, who won the league last year, they are in second place, having chased down Llandudno quite comfortably the weekend. Anything else stand out there for you?
Just a broad range of low-scoring games, really. Everyone's looking around 150, just a quick scan down there. But yeah, Duncan Midgley for St Asaph with 86. won by 10 wickets at Llandudno, or at home to Llandudno. And then a few 50s knocking about, Connor Davis, Brimbo, and they beat Menai Bridge, my favourite. I've mentioned before, it's my picture. I sit there and picture the Menai Bridge. It must be nice, but they're at Brimbo. Connor Davis 54, Robbie Jones on the other side with 50 as well, for Menai Bridge. But yeah, Brimbo won by 7 wickets. So yeah, just fairly low scoring games. I assume the pitches again suffered a little bit in the week, but yeah, hopefully those will rise. But yeah, Mocht are doing very well.
I think the most important thing in the North Wales League, all the games got played by the looks of things. Only one score less than 100. So compared to one or two of the others, Bangor with 83 all out over at Northop, who had already put on 153. But 153 off 50 overs, that's a steady old day, isn't it?
Well, I think you're probably happy at halfway there, aren't you, with your 153 or 50?
I'm just comparing. Unfortunately, I'm comparing them to Jonty, 146 off 70-odd balls. And there's a lot of these teams in the North Wales League scoring 150 themselves off 40 or 50 overs. Jonty, would you get bored?
I reckon I'll probably have my feet up pretty quickly. Probably chip one to mid on a wet one. But no, that's the beauty of cricket, isn't it? Like, obviously, listening to you guys talking about the scores around the country and how it differs comparing to where you are. You wouldn't get that in football. It's not as if the Etihad's an absolute cabbage patch and you're not going to score any goals there. And
oh, no, it is. It's a cabbage patch.
So no, it's cool to hear all the different. And when we played Australia, it was similar. A lot of the low scoring games, so you just have to adapt. It's cool. Those low scoring games sometimes can be a lot better than the high scoring ones, for sure.
Definitely. The last of the leagues that we've got to look at for this week, and so we've got to bunch them into a bunch of around about 8 leagues each week. We've got the Middlesex County Cricket League. The Premier League has been up and running a couple of weeks now. Stanmore, who won the league last year, are struggling a little bit down the bottom there. Third from bottom, got beat by Crouch End at the weekend. Whereas Ealing, have won 2 from 2 at the top there. So Shepherd's Bush.
We've not really touched on this league yet, and I haven't studied it in great detail, but we've some good performances. No hundreds as far as I could see in the Middlesex League this week, but Josh Haynes was 75 off 119 for Hornsey in a loss there to Ealing. So Ealing won that by 39 runs. Good batting performance from Ealing, very consistent. Tom Powell 63 off 75 for them. Wickets fairly evenly spread as well. I think is it 10 overs max in that league, so
yeah, looks like
10 overs max to bowl. So different to something like the Liverpool comp where they can sort of bowl all day if they want to.
Far too many.
Yeah. Well, just ruins bowlers. No wonder they've got so many spinners up there. So runs and wickets fairly evenly spread. Jackson Saggers 3 for 34 for Stanmore in that game, but low scoring one, like you said. And Richmond Teddington, snuck home 3 wickets. It looked like a fairly close game there. 3.5 overs to go. 203 runs to knock those off. Vanch Yanni with 50 or 48, and Eric both 3 for 33 are the sort of standouts in that game for them.
You touched on the Liverpool competition there, and I've got to bring this one up. I think the first and the quickest game of the weekend, I'm going to start looking at this every single week now, was Wallasey beating Newton Le Willows in the Liverpool District competition last weekend. Wallasey bowled out Newton Le Willows for 34 with Matthew Keogh getting 7 for 15. And our old friend Summit Ruika 3 for 15. But to bowled out at 34, and then Wallasey knocked them off in 4.5 overs. So the entire game lasted 24 overs. You don't want to be mentioning them on a weekly basis, do you? If you're a club out there in the Premier League, you don't want Livo going, you were the quickest game of the week.
Jonty, what's when you get set that low totals of 50s, 60s, 70s, are you just going for it from ball one? You take what's the point where it becomes an awkward chase, when you're starting to get a little bit nervous?
I reckon like that 120, 130 is usually the worst kind of ones. But I think usually, if anywhere between sort of 50 and 90 or 100, usually boys will try and smash it and get it back into Brighton down on the seafront for the afternoon if possible. So I think usually that's probably the best way to go about chasing those low ones. But then if it's taking you 150 off 50 overs, it might be pretty difficult to do that. So,
and that is the beauty of Premier League cricket up and down the country. We'll do some big numbers, I'm sure, during the season when we're looking at the top scoring games, the low scoring games, the averages around the country, they are just literally so different from league to league to league. And I find it fascinating week in, week out, Jonty. You can go from, Datchet, as you say, in one league, down to the Sussex League, and it's just so different, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And like geographically wise, they're still pretty close by, but it can just be so different. I think it's obviously the amount of time that the ground staff can put into the ground. And obviously, a lot of clubs have probably got guys who are there on a part-time basis, or some clubs got full-time groundsmen. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how it works. But certainly those games up like Liverpool way, like you say, with bowlers being able to bowl as much as they can, it's a completely different dynamic.
Have you ever fancied that challenge, going up to a timed league like the Liverpool and District and facing the Summit Ruicas bowling 28 overs, or Thomas Sefton bowling 28 overs from one end?
I know. Well, I like speaking to my old man. He used to say that they used to have the inter-intro and they'd play 56 overs and somebody would bowl 28 from one end, somebody 28 from the other. I can't think
it's
of
not much of a team game, is it, when that's happening? It's definitely...
No.
Your pro certainly takes a lot of importance in those roles.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think obviously if my career I was more driven to go and play some longer format cricket, then yeah, potentially. But at the moment, it works quite well down here. We still get a little bit of both. So obviously get the time cricket and the time cricket and the limited overs as well. So yeah, it works well.
One of my favourite games from the weekend in the North Yorkshire South Durham League, we've got Saltburn all out for 89. We know that's a low scoring ground anyway. Martin were 49 for 4 when it was called off for fog. So that wasn't on my bingo card this week. Called off for fog. So yeah, I can imagine the fog seeping in, and then
don't get much of that on the Sussex Downs, do you really?
Not really. It is a little weather. It's its own little weather place, to be fair. But yeah, we don't get much fog. We usually don't get fogged off.
No,
straight in there. It looked like a really interesting shootout. That being sat there with 49 for 4 off 13 overs, so they got on with it reasonably quickly, chasing 89. So that could have gone all sorts of ways. They cursed the fog.
Absolutely. Hey, we talk about weather week in, week out, as you can tell, Jonty. It's a consistent subject, but we're cricket fans, so it's got to be weather related, hasn't it?
Yeah, it does. No, I think it looks pretty settled over the next few weeks down here, so I think we'll be okay. But it has been a wet start to the year. We've got one of the weather stations down at the ground, and the head groundsman was just tearing his hair out at how much rain we've had and the moisture levels in the ground. But hopefully the next few weeks can liven up and we'll be all right again.
When you're on that roll, what are you listening to? You got the old podcasts on? What's the roll of tunes, or are you just sat there without it on, just in peace and quiet?
No, I've a little bit of both, really. I've a few pretty. I was actually thinking the other day, my music taste is completely eclectic. Like, I don't really know what I'm going to listen to, so I usually get some sort of daily mix. Last week was actually the Scissor Sisters, weirdly enough, and I remember having that in the car with mum and dad growing up. Not too sure why. And
I was going to say, you're old enough to remember that.
And the Kooks as well. So that's been the last couple of weeks tunes wise. And then my housemate has told me to listen to this Jimmy Bullard podcast about a guy who's got his own football team.
FC Bullard. You've got to listen to FC Bullard. Yeah. They are part of the same group that our podcast goes out on the Sports Social Podcast Network. It's phenomenal. It really, and it does make you think, could we do the same with cricket? It's got to be far too complicated, to say the least. But it is a good one, definitely. Hey, looking forward to the rest of the season then, Jonty. You've got a busy time ahead by the sounds of things, especially when you've got to go off to Germany for a couple of weeks. What are your sort of aims and goals for this season yourself?
I think, obviously, it's a nice start to the year. That we're pretty big Nomads this year on trying to win that league. We did well at the T20 Cup last year. We won that. We've actually got 3 bridges again this Sunday in the ECB National Knockout, which is a 40-over competition. So we play Worthing away on Saturday, and then we've got them on Sunday, 3 bridges back at our place. So we'll just kind of keep going week by week, try and win as many games as we can, open up that gap with the limited over stuff at the start, and then hopefully have a good run into the middle of the year with the time stuff. And then obviously with Jersey, it's like I said before, it's a huge tournament for us, 10-team tournament, and it's just an absolute shootout. We last year played in the European qualifier, which was obviously Scotland and Ireland, which was great. Really good exposure up there to some proper good sides playing in Scotland on probably seeming friendly wickets, which isn't, when we played in those competitions before, we've played them in Dubai where it's spin and it's quite flat, so it suits us quite nicely. Probably came a little bit unstuck last year against a decent Irish side with 4 good seamers. But yeah, this year's unfortunately back onto the AstroTurf wickets in Germany. And that obviously brings teams closer together anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the competition works is that there's 10 teams, 2 5-team groups, and then basically you have 2 groups, and then number 1 plays against number 1, and that person gets the top spot. So yeah, it's going to be pretty thick and fast, bit of a shootout, like I say. But we've definitely got the players capable to do it. We've got guys who have played a lot of cricket, are playing a lot of cricket in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
The Tribes, Julian, Dan Birrell, sort of like Ben Ward's back over, Jake Dumford. So there's plenty of people, loads of lads who are up actually playing, like they're at university. So George Richardson, Stan Norman's been doing really well as well. So yeah, we've got lots of guys who are doing the right stuff and playing some good cricket. So it should be a good summer. Hopefully do very well with Jersey, and then win the league with Nomads as well.
Win the league with Nomads, and then go off another little bit with Jersey, and then get down to the ECC, and hopefully get yourselves through to finals week where the English will be coming.
Yeah, no, I'm sure the English will be coming again. We'd like to play those boys again, I'm sure. Try and get one up over Lambeau, but yeah, they're a handy side, the English boys. They knew exactly what they were doing. Bowled nicely, best bowling side in the week by far, I think, on that. If you've got decent seamers, you're going to go a long way in that competition. So yeah, they did well. But yeah, busy year, but it kind of always is with cricket. It's great. It's all year round now, isn't it? Got to put my name in the hat for the Scottish T10 competition, which will be great. That's a great initiative in August going forwards. So yeah, there's all these little leagues popping up all over the place. So keep doing as well as you can. You just don't really know. I don't think gone are the days where you've got to 30 and it's not going to happen. Like there's so many cases of guys still doing pretty well, even though they might be past their sell-by date, or what people perceive to be a sell-by date.
Well, you're clearly not past your sell-by date, Jonty. So thanks very much for joining us this week and taking a tour around the Premier Leagues. Hope you enjoyed what we're doing going around the country, and you'll hear a lot more of those names from the Jersey squad by the sounds of things, going to be picking around the leagues as well. Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you very much, guys. Thanks for having me on, and doing a fantastic job to kind of go across all the Premier Leagues is serious effort. So congratulations, and good luck for the rest of the year. I'd certainly be listening out and keeping an eye, but thanks for having me. Definitely. Thanks a lot, Jonty. Cheers, Jonty. Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.